Just a second.
If you're watching
Hey,
the
guess
Facebook
what,
Live,
Rich? We're
we're
just
not.
now
What's up?
live with the audio.
Oh, okay. So welcome again to those watching us on YouTube here on Facebook Live or listening to us on their favorite podcast platform on the smartphones.
Yeah, this is the end.
All right. So
The
we'll have to
end, my
find out
friend.
what this is the end means because Mike rarely tells me what the subject or the title of the shows is going to be. He's
It's
the
the
more
end,
creative
Rich.
type. The end.
It's the end of the football season, which means it's the end of Matt
Oh, okay.
Nagy. Yay!
Okay. That makes sense.
Great. It's also
Okay.
probably the end of about a dozen other coaches in the NFL.
Yep.
So
Maybe even the end of one player's NFL career as well.
probably. But he's
But-
got a lot of talent, so...
He's on the wrong side of 30, though.
Oh, wait, that guy. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about the other guy.
I don't know. We'll get to it.
We'll get to all the NFL talk. We'll also have some fun news about more football to come this year and next. What else we got, Rich?
We'll be talking a little bit of hockey, as we totally forgot about the Winter Classic when we were hanging out together last weekend. And I guess Gary Bettman wants to have hockey in the Olympics, but in the Summer Olympics, not the winter.
I know why. I understand why. 100%. I understand it.
And then we'll probably end the show talking about maybe some favorite memories of the great one, John Madden,
Yeah.
passed away last week.
I mean, we talked about it
That
on
was
the
2
show
weeks
last
ago.
week, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about it, but we kind of gave a homework assignment for the two of us and also anybody
Yeah.
that happened to watch it and comment on us last week, which I'm not sure if any of that was done, about favorite memories of the coach, Mr. John Madden. But like all that, we'll get into that more. So, but before we do, what time is it, Mike?
It's time to roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. So, before we get into any of the news of the week or any of our opinions or any of that stuff, we always have a poll question.
We do.
Rich, I apparently fell down on the wrong side of this poll question this week.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll explain why. As we always explain why we where we fall on poll questions. This week's one has again, the way that I've voted in this entire poll contest has been along the same lines.
Okay.
So there's that. Okay, so this week's poll question, we're in tailgate food polls. You have chicken wings versus the pork chop. The pork karate chop.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we do have a comment shout out from the poll question. Adam
Okay.
Heath, friend of the show, cousin, right? Or former...
No, he was when I was in high school, early college. We worked together at the movie theater. He was a manager. I was a supervisor.
Yeah, Adam said chicken wings is probably the right answer, but I'm always about the pork. You know, Adam, I too voted for pork, not because I think that because I'm all about the pork, no vegan. Yeah, I did that. Sorry, that was
Okay.
terrible. Anyway, but because pork chops are more of a meal that you have, like you grill it, you throw it on the grill, you cook it, you throw it on a bun, you have pork chop sandwiches. That's what a tailgate's all about. What do you throw on the grill? You pull it off, you put it between bread, and you eat it. And that's your meal for a tailgate, correct? I mean, most of the time?
Yeah, I'm following your reasoning.
So, for me, as a tailgate, pork chops makes the most sense.
And I can respect that. From that perspective, I can agree with you. But I choose to look at it as which food would I rather have. If both plates are put in front of me and I can only choose one, I'm going to go with the chicken wings, Mike.
I mean, you've never had my pork chops, though.
I have not.
If I grilled you up a pork chop that was so good that it made the chicken wing look like chopped liver.
Yeah, I also tend to think of pork chops as a fork and knife, not a put in between a bun. That's just me.
Pork chop sandwiches, man.
So I went with chicken wings. How did the people vote, Mike?
Like I said, I fell down on the wrong side of this poll, 9-4 in favor of chicken wings.
All right.
A good pork chop sandwich, though, man. I mean, there is something to be said for a good pork chop sandwich. So.
Okay. So next week, when I was doing up round 2, I realized we had an odd number of winners.
Okay.
So, Mike, you can overrule me if you want. So I'm going to give Brisket a bye week. They're going to move on to round 3.
Okay. What are our other options?
So we're going to go with the I'd have to look at how I seeded them, but I think it's the 2-5 matchup, which will be burgers and pulled pork.
Okay.
And then the 3, let me just pull that up real quick.
Riveting television, folks, I promise.
I know. We're totally prepared. Okay, so this week it will be the 2-6 matchup of burgers and pulled pork.
Yeah.
And then in 2 weeks it will be
brats versus
the
chicken
4
wings?
Yeah, the 4-5 matchup of brats and chicken wings. The 3-4 matchup. 3 and 5.
Or here's one more option to give this whole poll one more week. One extra week. We take all our oddballs, all our losers, pork chops, buffalo dip, sub sandwich, chili, and ribs. We put them in one poll.
One poll?
One poll.
And you get a wild card.
That wild card
the brisket
goes up against brisket.
All right, I like that. Let's do it.
Okay.
I haven't posted or scheduled anything. It's just on written paper. So let's do it. So folks, you will see a poll go live shortly after we get off the air, where you can choose one.
Yes.
One thing.
One thing.
Chili, the sub sandwich, buffalo chicken dip, pork chops, or barbecue ribs.
Yep.
The winner will face our number 1 overall seed, brisket.
Yeah.
In next week's poll. So nice idea, Mikey. I like it. So we'll retitle this a wild card matchup.
That means we're going to have another we'll have to have another wild card the week after.
No, because they in turn become, that evens us and puts 6.
Yes, but then we have 3 matchups, and so we'll have another the following week. But in order to make that one work, I'm making this up, folks. In order to make that one work, we're gonna take just the 2. So
just 2.
We're gonna if the wild card loses, that one's eliminated altogether. That's a double elimination. You're done. Okay. But whoever the 2 losers are left over. So, like, let's say burgers and brats wins, and it's chicken wings.
So we're almost reseeding them.
Yeah.
After each of these.
Yeah. We're doing a double elimination. Okay.
Okay.
So if pork chop wins the mega poll, as we're going to call it, then pork chops goes against brisket. I'm making things up here. If
In theory.
in theory, if brisket loses, or if brisket wins, pork chop is eliminated. Period. End of story. Then we have burgers versus pork, brats versus chicken wings. Let's say burgers and chicken wings win. Then brats and pulled pork go against each other, and the winner of that goes against brisket the following week. And then we'll have 2, and that'll only be 2. And no, that'll be 3 again, won't it? No, it'll be 2.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Because if we went burgers, it'll be what next week? Brisket wild card.
Yep.
Brat, burgers going against pulled pork.
Yep. And brats versus
Brats and chicken wings.
chicken wings, yeah.
And the winners of that does get us down to 3. So maybe we'll have another wild card. Pork chop cannot. The winner, if the wild card loses the brisket, they're automatically out.
Yep.
So maybe we'll take the three foods that didn't win in round 2
No.
to give them a second chance. We'll workshop this afterward.
Yeah.
We'll workshop this
Yep.
once we get through round number 2.
Yep.
So that way we're not taking up any more airtime than we already have with this, trying to make things up as we go.
Hey, it's content, man. Content is king, right?
It is. All right, Mike. So, we never asked how our weeks went. We always kind of do that as well.
Yeah.
So how was your week?
Yeah, it was a little rough. Grace has been sick this week, so I missed a day and a half of work, and then Danielle missed 3/4 of a day of work yesterday. So, yeah. Hopefully she's in good spirits. She's been totally fine, but she has been she just is thrown up a bunch.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mike. So
yeah, but outside of that, it's been a good week. How about you?
Okay. It's always kind of, I guess, kind of rough coming back from a vacation when you don't have every single area that you're responsible for covered with a backup.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been playing a little bit of catch up this week, and we're still kind of digging out of a hole with some of the process areas that I handle for my job, but it's moving along. I mean, the finish line's still a ways out there, but we're making progress to getting there, though.
Okay.
And that's what's important.
Well, that's good. Progress is always king. The drive down went okay, though?
Yeah, the drive down went just fine. So, and we got a nice surprise when we came home as our driveway was cleared. We had originally thought, hey, the sun must have really done some. Man, the sun really hit the driveway really well, and it cleared it. But then we found out a couple hours later that my father-in-law, Ron, came over and cleared the driveway for us while we were gone.
You know him. I almost called Dustin to see if he
From church.
Yeah.
From Passion. Either way, I mean, it was nice to come home to a clean driveway. That's one of the reasons why we left as early as we did on Monday, was so we could get home and get that driveway cleared. So it was nice to already see that done. So talking about the weather, that kind of was the big story at the Winter Classic that we totally missed out on last weekend.
Totally missed out on it.
It was the coldest Winter Classic or outdoor game in general in the NHL's history. They were actually heating the ice, Mike, not keeping it cold, heating it.
Yeah, I heard that.
To keep good ice conditions for the game.
I heard that. That's crazy.
I would have liked to have seen it. I think it was a 6-2 victory for the visiting Blues.
Yeah, Totally sad we missed it. We were caught up having fun all day though. We had a great time. I'm sad we missed the game. I'm not sad we missed the game though.
Yeah. It would have been neat to watch, but I mean,
it would have been you and I watching it, and everybody else would have been like, okay, this is boring. Can we do something else? So
yeah. All right. So I guess the other story to come out of the Winter Classic is that, and I apologize for the link, Mike, because it doesn't appear to be opening it up, is I guess Gary Bettman wants to have the Olympics, wants to have the NHL hockey put into the Olympics, but as a Summer Olympic sport instead of a Winter Olympic sport, so that it doesn't conflict with the NHL schedule. What are your thoughts on it, Mike?
I like the concept. I mean, I like hockey. I love big hockey. Big hockey is for those that don't know, hockey in baseball in the Olympics is generally played on a bigger arena. International hockey is played significantly different than what we see as hockey in the States with the NHL. With that being said, it'd be hard for that. I think they'd be hard pressed to get in the summer venue, have a place to do it. By the way, what happens if Africa if some country in Africa, if South Africa, let's say South Africa gets the Summer Olympics? When are we holding those Summer Olympics?
I don't know. Keep going with that train of thought, Mike.
The Summer Olympics, if it's held in South Africa, will be held in between November through February, because that's the summertime for South Africa.
So hold on, Mike. Let's say, but anywhere other
Australia.
Okay, but even if the Australia is hosting the Summer Games and it's still being hosted during the normal, what's classified as summertime for most of the world, I think. For the participating countries, I thought, but isn't it? But even taking a look at what the wintertime temperatures are in South Africa, isn't that basically anybody else's summertime anyway?
Doesn't matter. They play in the summer. I mean, when Australia had the Summer Olympics, look it up. Okay. When Australia had the Summer Olympics, it was held in their summer. And so, if the Summer Olympics is held and hockey is in it and it's in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be held in our winter.
Okay.
That's just how it is.
So I think the NHL is kind of like in a unique position, is they have players in their league that want to play in these games.
Yeah.
As unlike the NBA.
No, the NBA players want to play. A lot of them do.
But there's some growing concern of you'll see certain players elect not to play or will opt out because, well, their team just came off a long finals run. I need a break.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to, or the NBA is trying to say, well, we don't want you to just come in and train with the team a couple months before the games. We want you to commit to 2 or 3 Olympics or basketball qualifying tournaments for the Olympics, so we can kind of build team camaraderie and actually look like we're an actual team and not a collection of great players out on the court together.
Yeah.
I mean, is it almost time to maybe stop having the use of professional athletes when all the other Olympic sports are in theory amateurs or
That's not true.
Not classified as multimillionaire professionals?
That's not true. Ask Michael Phelps how much money he makes.
Okay.
Ask Usain Bolt how much. I mean, I'm looking it up.
Okay. I mean, personally, I don't see. I could mean if you have buy-in from individual players, buy-in from the Players Association, why not every 4 years, hockey just pauses.
Usain,
Hockey puts a pause on their season for 2 weeks, and that's the All-Star break
yep.
every 4 years.
Here's what I want you to do.
Classified as the All-Star break.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me what you think the over/under Usain Bolt's net worth is.
Is this in U.S. dollars or his currency?
U.S. dollars.
3.5 million?
You are so low. You're gonna $90 million. Usain Bolt's worth.
Okay. But you have some of these professional athletes that are making that in 1 year, not their total net worth.
But tell me again that these guys aren't professionals. Michael Phelps worth $80 million. These guys are still professionals. We don't, and most countries. So, in the United States, if you make the U.S. team, you get a pretty decent stipend, and on top of it, you get paid to work out, to train. Now, does that mean that you're going to be Michael Phelps rich? You're going to be Usain Bolt rich? You're going to be NBA level rich? No, not at all. But these guys are professional athletes. They are paid to play. So, I'm not. It's not even a thought for me.
Okay. That's a good point, Mike. I'll take it.
So to say that we can't have professional athletes, no, that's dumb.
Okay.
And other countries pay their athletes way more than the U.S. does. We actually pay a very minimal amount compared to a lot of other countries. And when I say that, I don't mean overall wealth. Yes, there are a lot of our athletes make more money overall than what they do in other countries, but compared to their national average income, other countries tend to pay a lot more to their athletes than we do here in the States.
Okay.
So
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're concerned of, well, they wouldn't have the venue to stage ice hockey at a Summer Olympics. I mean, most of the time you're putting a basketball in regular 5-on-5 basketball on the size of an arena, or an arena where you could easily put a rink, and then you put just like an NBA team, just like when an NHL team and an NBA team share an arena, the rink is below the basketball court. So it'd just be a scheduling thing of, all right, you can't have basketball and hockey being played at the same time since they share the same venue.
Yeah. I mean, it could work. I'm not saying it couldn't work. I just think that it's going to be a better. I just don't know that. My biggest problem with it is that the Summer Olympics may be in the middle of the hockey season anyway. Now, yes, most Summer Olympics are going to be held in the Northern Hemisphere. That's just where the majority of our population lives. The world's population lives in the Northern Hemisphere. But you can't exclude the Southern Hemisphere from getting in the Olympics, putting it smack dab in the middle of the year Olympics. Then are you going to say, well, this time we can't have it. We can't have hockey in the summer because no. I agree. Take your All-Star break, make it 4 weeks, have the Olympics, do like you've done for years. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I mean, the NHL as a whole might lose out on that money every 4 years without staging an actual All-Star game, but there's still a good chunk of players that aren't going to be aren't playing in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So you just if the players that make the Olympics opt to participate in the Olympics rather than be a participant in the All-Star game, then they opt out and you replace that player with somebody else that's having just as equal as a good team, and you could still stage an All-Star game even if you're going to be competing with Olympic hockey as well.
Yeah.
Or you just take a 4-week break and you extend the season. It only happens every 4 years.
Yep. I mean,
Because you don't hear too much about the hockey qualifying like you do the basketball qualifying.
It's either that or you eliminate hockey from the Olympics.
And I don't want to see that either. When I think of hockey, I think of wintertime. I don't think of summertime.
Yeah. No, I can
understand. I can understand why
summers.
basketball is in the summer games, even though in the NBA it plays mostly during. It starts more in the wintertime.
Yeah. I mean, either way. So here's the other problem: if you do it in the Summer Olympics, let's say you do it in June.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're interrupting playoffs.
Or you might have to, or you have a or maybe some of those players are having to make the tough decision. All right, do I leave my Stanley Cup playoff team to start training camp for the Olympics, or is there going to be some sort of exception to where hockey gets scheduled later on in the Olympics so that players can arrive? And
it's a team sport, so it's going to be one of those things that they have to have the qualifying. Hockey lasts the entire Winter Olympics. It'll last the entire Summer Olympics too. There's no good way to do it. You either have it in the Olympics and you interrupt your winter season, or you don't have it in the Olympics and you just don't have hockey in the Olympics.
Or option 3, the NHL chooses not to interrupt this season. If players want to leave the team to go participate, to go play for their country,
yep,
they can do that.
Yep.
Or you say no, the Players Association and the league step down and say nope, no hockey, no NHL players in the playoffs, whether you want to leave your team and take unpaid time off away from your professional contract or not.
Yeah.
If you get hurt, it's on you. You owe us X amount of dollars if you get hurt playing in a non-sanctioned NHL game while the season's going on.
Yep. That seems like the kind of debate that you'd have to have there. But we have spent as much time on this as we have allotted for the game or for today. We will, again, I don't think it makes sense either way. Either you're interrupting your playoffs or you're interrupting you're interrupting playoffs or you're interrupting the
season in general. All right, so an end of the season. We've reached the end of the line for college football. The national championship game is Monday.
Yep.
Number 1 Alabama, number 3 Georgia, a rematch of the SEC championship game. Mike, who's your pick to win?
Just because I hate the Tide, let's go Georgia.
All right. I think I like Georgia too. I think this is the year that Nick Saban loses to an assistant.
Yeah.
In a national championship. I'm going for the Bulldogs as well.
Okay.
All right, Mike, keep on rolling in the football field. We're going to recap week 17.
So the Bears played the Giants at a astonishing 29-3 win. I saw a win. I did not see that coming. Rich, we both picked the Bears. You are 10-6. I am 11-6. They are the reverse of your. I can't be 11-6 and you be 10-6.
Dang it! Did I count it wrong again?
I'm either 11-5 and you're 10-6, or we're both 10-6. But either way, the Bears are 6-10 on the season. So. Good on us both for picking that. Lots of the week, Rich. You picked the Packers over the Vikings at 37-10. The Packers made that game look easy, winning, making the Vikings the Vikings are dashed beyond belief. And you are 13-4 for locks of the week. Rich, thank you for updating it. I am 11-5 for Bears picks this year. Rich, how did I do on my lock of the week?
Well, Mike, it was a close game as the Bucks pulled out a last-second victory, beating the Jets 28-24, improving your record to 14-3. For upsets,
Yep.
Mike, you picked the Dolphins over the Texans, which I still agree was a good pick.
Titans.
The Dolphins were going into that game hot. However, they left Nashville kind of cold as the Titans went in and won 34-3, dropping your record down to 6-11. And I didn't put it in the outline, but the Steelers beat the Browns 26-14, giving Ben one final victory in Heinz Field, and that improves my record in locks and upsets to 7-10.
And I am 6-11 in upsets. Heading into couple of things we got to talk about this week. We'll make our picks, and then we'll talk the playoff scenario. Kind of some interesting things going on in the playoff picture. Excuse me.
Okay.
That will then the playoff scenario, which will then affect how your power rankings work, and we'll talk about power rankings. How's that sound for a plan for this portion of the the National Football Talk?
Sounds good. All right, so we start every week giving you our pick for the Bears games. The Bears will be traveling up to Minnesota. Mike, who are you taking?
I will not be going to this game. The Vikings will win, and that'll be a good game. It'll be a good game, but the Vikings are going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to the Vikings as well. The only thing that I'm glad to see come out of this, I don't like the circumstances on why he's not playing in the game, but I'm glad that he's not playing, and that's that Justin Fields will not be playing in the game due to having to put on the COVID list. I don't remember reading if he actually has COVID or if he had to be put on the list due to a close contact. But
I'm also happy
going to play in the game.
I'm also the other good thing that comes out of this is it's the last game for Matt Nagy. Yay!
Yes, I believe they have informed him that he will not be back next year. Now the next thing that comes into mind is, will Ryan Pace be back next year?
That's a good question. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but that's part of our quick hit, all sorts of craziness going on. This week's Lock of the Week, it is the last week of the year. Rich, it's an even week. That gives you the rights to pick first. Who is your Lock of the Week?
I'm going to go with the Bills over the Jets.
Okay.
The Bills still have something to play for as they're playing for playoff seeding. And I think they still need to win to secure the AFC East divisional crown, so they're not going to pull their starters or take it easy on the Jets. They're going to make sure they get a win.
Similarly, I am picking a team that has to win basically to make it into the playoffs.
Technically, yes.
I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts over the Jags. And we'll get into why that makes something worthwhile. Rich, who you picking for your upset of the week?
My upset, I'm going to go with the Steelers getting a win over the Ravens to put the final nail in the coffin for their playoff hopes. And Big Ben gets a win to go out on a 2-game winning streak before he retires.
I am also picking a divisional game. The divisional game I'm picking is one that most people think is a crazy pick as an upset, but time and time again, this team has proven that they can swing up, they can swing above their weight class when it comes to playing this other team, and that's the Miami Dolphins beating the New England Patriots.
Okay.
The Dolphins always give the Patriots a hard time, especially in Miami, especially when the Patriots need the win for something. If the Patriots win and the Bills lose, the Patriots can win the division. Right? Isn't that how that works?
We'll get into that to make sure that they can clinch the playoffs. So let's go ahead and get into that before we go into our power rankings.
Okay, so
All right.
what we know right now is that the Tennessee Titans have clinched their division and will make the playoffs. Period. That's a lock. What we don't know is their seeding. If it were to end, if this week was the first week of playoffs, they'd be the number 1 seed with the bye. And they have a 79% chance to make that happen, by the way. 79% chance. Kansas City Chiefs are ranked number 2 in the AFC currently. They have a 17% chance to make it into the number 1 seed. They've clinched the division and a playoff berth.
Yeah,
Cincinnati
so
Bengals have
Okay.
clinched their division and a playoff berth. Go ahead, Rich.
Nope. I see where you're going. So Buffalo Bills, they are going to make the playoffs. It's just whether they make it as the champion, as the divisional champ, or a wild card team. Same thing with the Patriots, as they could flip playoff seedings depending on the results. The Colts, technically today, before action starts, are in the playoff. Could be with a victory, they make the playoffs. If they lose, they need to hope that the Chargers and Raiders do not tie
Correct.
in the Sunday night game of the week.
Yeah. The last game of the year. The last regular
Last
season
game of the year. If the Raiders and Chargers tie, both of them get in, the Colts are out.
Yep.
And then the Colts are technically the number 7 seed in the AFC based on their records or tiebreakers, but if they lose, if they win on Sunday night, they are in, and that gets us to the Raiders, who could win with a win. Technically, the Steelers and the Ravens are still alive in the AFC.
Yep.
For the okay,
So that is
Oh, yeah.
crazy. If the Colts lose, the Chargers and the Raiders could make an agreement that says we're going to tie this game. We're going to tie this game.
yeah.
And both make it into the playoffs.
So here's how the Steelers get in, Mike. This is
Okay.
kind of funky too. So they will need to win at Baltimore,
Okay?
and for the Colts to lose, and because tiebreakers are funky in the words of ESPN's, they need the Chargers Raiders game to not end in a tie. It doesn't matter who wins. So if they win, the Colts lose, and the Chargers Raiders game does not end in a tie, Big Ben goes to the playoffs.
Okay. How does Baltimore make the playoffs?
Baltimore will need to get to the playoffs. They'll need to beat the Steelers and get losses from the Colts, Browns, Chargers, and Dolphins.
Colts, Browns, Chargers,
The
and Dolphins?
Browns are still somehow, I don't know how the Browns factor in. I
Okay.
think the Browns are playing the Bengals.
Okay.
So maybe it's a strength of schedule thing for tiebreakers.
So let's head over to the NFC. Rich, do you want to do the number 1 seed? I mean, neither one of us wants to talk about this number 1 seed.
No, it's the Packers. They've
It's-
clinched it. They can't lose the number 1 seed. The playoffs will go through Lambeau Field. Right now, the number 2 seed is the Rams, although they have not clinched it yet. The Bucks are sitting at number 3. They are going to the playoffs. Same with the Rams. They're going to the playoffs. They just don't know their seeding yet.
And the Bucks have clinched their division. The Rams
Yep.
still have not.
No. All right. The Dallas Cowboys are in. They have clinched the division. The Cardinals are technically your number 1 wild card team and would take on the Rams in the playoffs.
Yep.
San Francisco gets number 6. And
No,
the
I have
Eagles
that they
number
would play
7.
the Cowboys. The Cardinals would play the Cowboys in the first round. If it ended today, it would be the Cardinals and the Cowboys.
Oh, yep, you're right. The Eagles get the Rams.
Yep.
I'm sorry. And then the Niners. So still in the hunt are the Saints. For the Saints to avoid elimination, they can clinch a playoffs with a win at the Falcons combined with a loss by the 49ers.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that the 49ers are not clinched, but Philadelphia is. How crazy is that? Even though technically the 49ers are the 6th seed and the Eagles are the 7th seed. So if the Niners lose and New Orleans wins, New Orleans becomes a 7 and Philly becomes a 8?
Yeah, I guess so. It does not.
If the
In
Phillies
the
win.
article that I have, it doesn't say why the Eagles have clinched. So because I mean their game kind of matters a little bit with Dallas today, because it could affect where they're seated at depending on what happens in the game.
Yeah. So, with that being said, let's head into our analysis of all of this and get into the power rankings. You ready with that, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 1 overall. I don't think anybody's denying it. Nobody likes it, but we're not denying it. Right?
No, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it. But, that's where they go. Number 2, the Bucks.
I actually put the Rams here.
Oh, okay. Surprising, because what if they lose their division?
Then yes, they will go down.
Okay. I have the Bucks at number 2. Number 3 is where I actually have the Rams.
I put the Titans here at number 3.
Okay.
The number 1 overall seed for the AFC.
Okay. I don't mind that. Number 4, I have the Dallas Cowboys.
This is where I put the Chiefs.
Okay. So you have the 1 and 2 seeds in the top 4 is what you did. Okay. Number 5, I have the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is where I put the Bucks.
Okay.
I just wasn't. I mean, they still got the victory against the Jets, but it was just a closer game than I would have liked to have seen.
Okay. Number 6 is where I have the Tennessee Titans.
I put the Bengals here.
Okay. That's
They had a great victory against the Chiefs last week.
man, that
gets rewarded in my eyes.
big jump for you and I. In difference, and we'll get there eventually. I have number 7, the Buffalo Bills.
We agree, Mike. I put the Bills at number 7 as well. Number 8 is where I put the Cowboys.
Okay, not mad at you for it. Number 8 is where I have the Arizona Cardinals. Number 9, Rich, I have the New England Patriots.
I put the Cardinals here.
And at number 10, I have the Indianapolis Colts.
I put the Pats at number 10, the Colts at 11.
And I put the Cincinnati Bengals at 11.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's go all the way. Let's go
to 15.
Let's go to 15. Number 11, I have the Chargers.
I put the Colts here.
Or number 12, I have the Chargers. I'm sorry.
I put the Bolts at number 12 as well.
13, I have the Raiders.
I have the 49ers. They're making the playoffs. Technically, the Raiders need to win to get in the playoffs.
I'm not opposed to that. That's not terrible. Number 14, I have the Eagles.
That's where I put the Eagles as well.
And at number 15, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
I put the Raiders, since the Raiders have a clearer path to the playoffs than the Ravens.
Okay. And
I put the Saints at 16, since they have a better chance of making the playoffs.
Let's just do the whole thing. At
Sure.
I mean, we're going quick. There's not a huge amount of debate on any of these. I don't mind that. I put 16 for the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
17. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I put the Ravens here, but I didn't have the Steelers down too far, as I gave the Steelers number 18.
That's where I put the Dolphins.
Okay, I have the Dolphins at 19.
At 19, I have the Saints.
Okay, 20, I put the Browns.
I put the Broncos.
The Broncos are at number 21 for me.
21 is the Falcons.
I gave 21 to the Broncos, so number 22, that's where I put the Vikings.
And 22 is where I put the Browns. 23 is where I have the Vikings.
I put the Falcons in the number 23 hole.
And 24, I have Seattle.
We agree.
25,
Mike.
I have the Redskins. I mean, the Washington football team.
I put the Bears here.
Okay. I have the Bears one lower at 26.
That's where I put the football team, Mike.
Okay. At 27, the Carolina Panthers.
Agreed. 28 is where I put the Texans.
I put the Jets there.
Okay.
29, I have the Jets.
29,
I'm
I have
sorry,
the Jets.
28, I have the Giants. Giants,
Okay.
then Jets.
I put the Giants at number 30, and then I think we can agree on the bottom two, the Lions and the Jaguars, in that order.
Yep. And my number
Okay.
30 is the Texans, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot to debate. We both
Not really. The Bengals was a really far gap,
Yeah. And
but I mean, that's where my eyes of divisional crowns come in as a tiebreaker and who they beat that week.
I again am looking at 100% where I think they deserve to be in 1 to 32. I don't care about the playoffs. I don't care about any of that. Yes, I understand that the playoffs is how you win, how you crown a champion. But in the regular season, I'm putting who I think from 1 to 32 is the best and has played the best so far all the way down. That's why I don't think the Bengals have played the best, played in the top 10 this year. That's the only one that we really have huge amounts of disagreement on.
A little bit with the Cowboys. I think you had the Cowboys up a little higher.
And the Cowboys at
Then I
4.
did. Okay, and I put them at 8.
Have the Cowboys been playing better? Do they have a division lock?
They do.
You put them as the worst of the division locks.
I did, because I think there's that. They've kind of been up and down a little bit here lately. That's where I may have looked at the basis of what have you done for me lately.
So you're saying the Bills and the Patriots
Bengals
are that much better of a team?
I think so. I think those two teams have a very good chance of making it further in the playoffs than the Cowboys do right now.
You actually have them one and one above and one below, so it's not really that huge of a deal.
Yeah.
But
all right, so those are our power rankings. We'll probably run through them one last time.
Yep.
Next week, as with the regular season wrapping up and finalizing our playoffs, as we will not continue power rankings into the wild card round of the playoffs.
That's correct. Okay, this week, man, we have a whole section of
NFL quick hits
that are just NFL related.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let's start off with the biggest ridiculous story of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Brown being cut from the team, strips down to his pants, jumps around and dances as he waves goodbye to the fans, leaving the stadium. Apparently got showered and left. I don't know if he actually showered, but he got dressed, left the entire stadium before the team got back there by the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. So what's your overall opinion of it, Mike? Because I kind of have two different opinions.
So
I had the opinion of when I first heard about the news.
Okay.
And then my opinion of it kind of changed by about Tuesday, Wednesday, when more details started coming out about what happened.
This sounds like typical Terrell Owens behavior.
Yeah.
That's my basic reaction. Now, according to the team, he refused to go in and play on a couple of different plays. So Bruce Arians said, "You're done. Get out of here."
It was the position coach that told him, "All right, you're done. Get out of here." But
No.
that could have been coming from Bruce Arians.
No,
as
Bruce
well.
Arians came over and said to him, and he admitted, he went over and said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I'm not playing. I can't do it." And Bruce claims he said, I'm not getting the ball. I'm not going in.
Okay.
That's Bruce's claim, his initial claim. Then we have AB's side. Now, this is probably what kind of changed your mind.
It was.
Okay,
Totally
tell us
what changed. So
AB's...
my initial reaction when I heard about it, started seeing the videos and hearing about it on Sunday was that, wow, this is AB going prima donna again, not wanting to be a team player and just up and leaving because maybe he wasn't getting his way or just wasn't getting his way, and just the fuse was lit, and the fuse finally got to the end of the fuse and he blew up and decided to quit instead of go into the game.
Yeah.
But AB's side of the story is that he was dealing with an ankle injury. The team knew about it. The doctors knew about it. The coaching staff knew about it. He had tried to play through it as best he could during the first half of the game. And when it came time to the third quarter, when the confrontations were going back and forth about, hey, we need you into the game, but we're going to run this play. We need you in there. And him saying, no, I can't go. My ankle's too bad. That's when kind of my opinion changed of it. All right, this is just another AB acting out again. And it kind of flipped to, if that's particularly true, I think the Bucks could have handled it better instead of saying, nope, you're done, and trying to play the card of, well, he was cleared to play, so you should go in and play. The typical response of what should have been, all right, go talk to the doctor. What did the doc say? Are you just standing on the sideline saying your ankle's not good enough to play and not going to the doctor?
To this team.
Hang on. I got to mute this.
That seems to be my problem with it, is if his ankle was bad enough to where he felt that, hey, I need to get this checked out. I can't go in there and make football type moves on the ankle and play to be an effective player in the game, then go see the doctor.
I have a problem with this, Rich.
Okay.
And I'm going to play it for the people. Sorry you're not going to get it, but I am going to play a clip from Fox as he runs off the field.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Hang on, let me get this real quick. Okay. I'm doing this. Okay. And here we go. He is dancing and running and jogging off the field. If his ankle is so bad he cannot play, does he do this? Does he jump around in the end zone, hyping up the crowd, walking out, giving one finger, then two fingers in a peace sign, one finger like this, not the other one finger salute? If he does that, you are telling me, folks, that he is so injured he can't play, but he can walk off the field like this?
Sprinting and cutting are different than jogging off the field and maybe jumping up and down. But yes, I can see
so bad he can't think about playing. And you're telling me that he's dancing off the field like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised in myself that I'm siding with AB on this one, but I kind of am. I think both, but at the same time, I think both people handled it the wrong way. He should have been walking off the field, going to the doctor, instead of go to the blue medical tent, get checked out, and then walk off the field with the team physician or the NFL's independent physician to go get further testing on it. Don't dance off the field and make a scene like he did. And the coaching staff their coaches' responses should have been, all right, if you're not going to go with the game, you're done. No, it should have been, all right, go see Doc if you don't think you're good enough to go into the game. Prove to us that it's not that your ankle is missing to the point missing is messed up to the point that you don't feel that you can perform up to football playing standards.
Again, I want to take be as sympathetic as I can, but I watch how he danced off the field, and there's no reason why you're dancing off the field like that unless, I mean, if your ankle is so bad that you can't even think about it. We've watched guys go out on the field and not be able to walk off after the last play because they left it all on the field and their ankle hurts so bad they can't walk anymore.
Yep.
And we have AB dancing off the field, hyping up the crowd, jumping up and down. If your ankle's that bad that you can't get out there, you're not doing that.
Yeah, where was the staffer at? If the team's coaching staff is saying you're done, get out of here. Where's the coaching? Why didn't a staffer walk with him and escort him to the locker room so he couldn't do something stupid like that of dancing around?
I think the bigger problem wasn't that. I think he just said, then you're done. You're not playing anymore.
All right, fine, I'm going.
And he just said, fine, whatever, and left. Is his career over, Rich?
I think it is. I think he's worn out his welcome with too many teams. He wore out his welcome in Pittsburgh and New England, two teams that have reputations for having a culture that could bring anybody into, and they can be a great team member. He's no longer on those teams. He got cut, or he forced his way off of those teams.
Yep.
Forcing his way off of Pittsburgh, being cut by New England. Yep. And now he's starting to burn a bridge in Tampa because he's told his buddy, he's starting to question his friendship with Tom Brady, saying that we're only friends because I'm a good football player. I'm no longer on his team, so I don't feel like I'm his friend anymore.
No, I totally understand.
So I think he's done. I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30. And would you want to have that much of a prima donna or head case for essentially a number 3 wide receiver?
Yeah, I think AB has the talent though to be a number 1 wide receiver. He has the talent. His head case makes him a number 3. I'm gonna put it out there. He has the talent. This is why I think he still gets back. Why don't you go to a team where you got somebody like Patrick Mahomes passing to you? Why don't you go to? I mean, we know that Baltimore loves their murderers and crazy ex-cons and all that. Why doesn't he go there? Is he not wild enough for Baltimore? Is that the problem? You're smirking because you know I'm right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, those are two good examples of teams that he could go to. It comes down to, does AB want to play by the team's rules? Because the whole reason why he left Pittsburgh was because he felt that he saw Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline getting preferential treatment, getting easier practices, or not having to work as hard in practices. So he said, hey, Big Ben's over there not having the practice due to his injury. Why am I out here busting my butt on a bad ankle or random injury?
Yeah.
That's just as bad. Why can't you lay off of me and give me some extra rest before the game?
The other side is that Andy Reid won't put up with that BS. So Andy Reid is definitely out. That's not even a question. I don't think he'll actually go to Kansas City, but I think I would not be surprised, but Andy Reid doesn't put up with BS. Doesn't. But Baltimore would be. I could totally see him landing in Baltimore.
I could see Baltimore. I could almost see Dallas, depending on what players. If like one of their wide receivers leaves and AB steps into that slot receiver, number 3 wide receiver role.
Jerry loves him some psychos.
He does. All right, another thing that came out of Sunday's action was a railing collapse at
Yeah.
FedEx Field
Yeah.
that injured some fans and almost hurt Jalen Hurts as he was going to the jogging into the dugout into the locker room.
And apparently
So
the fans argued that they weren't given any medical treatment.
no, yeah, the football team is saying, yeah, we offered medical treatment. Everybody left the stadium on their own power, but supposedly the fans that were on the sideline were given the impression that the Washington staff were more concerned of get off the field. What are you doing on the field? Get out of here.
Yeah.
And it was Jalen Hurts was the ones asking, "Hey, are you okay?" After he dodged the fans falling from the railing.
Yeah.
So the railing itself, I guess, was in a handicapped section that wasn't built or reinforced to handle fans leaning on it, like what happened, so they could slap hands or get a high five or pat players on the back as they left the field.
Rule number 1, any railing that is within arm's reach of a player needs to be reinforced. Rule number 2, any railing that is in arm's reach of a fan needs to be reinforced. Because what do people do when they go to football games?
They crowd.
Oh,
They
no,
crowd
no.
sections like
No,
that.
you're thinking the too nice way, the way you and I do it. I'm talking, what do other people who love to waste their money do when they go to football games?
Oh, they get wasted.
They get drunk. And when you get drunk, you need something to lean on, don't you?
You do.
And so
Especially
you
when
lean on a railing. And if you're telling me it's not reinforced, you're an idiot for building it not reinforced. You reinforce everything at every stadium, no matter what. I have seen guys leaning on upper deck. Like, we've been to games in the upper deck where we've watched people leaning on stuff because they can't hardly stand themselves. You got to reinforce everything. That's dumb. Okay. Also, who's staying? Who's going? What? Let's both give 3 predictions, not in the NFC North, of
Okay.
people you think that are going to be fired, because we know at least 2 in the NFC North that we are 90%. You and I are at 90% sureness of them being fired. We'll give those right off the bat. That's going to be Matt Nagy and Mike Zimmer. Tomorrow's game is the last time we will see either of those teams playing for or coaching the team for which they are coaching tomorrow.
I can agree with that. I don't know if I can give you 3 more names in addition to those 2, because obviously I don't think Darrell Bevell is going to keep the head coaching job in Jacksonville. And I also don't think that even if the Raiders win and they go to the playoffs, that Rick Biancia is going to keep the head coaching job in LA. So I'm not going to count those as replacements either.
Okay,
But
I would have counted those, but that's fine.
I think a name that we'll probably agree on that probably will go in a team that'll go in another direction, I think is Denver. And so I don't think Vic Fangio is going to get a 3rd year.
Yeah, I think Vic has shown the door. How close is Joe Judge?
The team supposedly has committed to bringing back Joe Judge. The question is whether the GM will be back as well, whether he's fired or whether he resigns. So a new general manager is going to get a lame duck coach in Joe Judge. The players supposedly buy in, and the team is committed to bringing him back next year.
The next question I have, and again, I'm not bringing up people that I think that are actually going to get fired, but may resign and or leave in a way that is mostly acrimonious. How about Pete Carroll?
I could see Pete Carroll doing it. He's in his 70s now, and it comes down to, I think it could come down to how much of a rebuild Seattle goes into.
Yeah.
If they trade Russell Wilson away and they go the draft and develop route for their next quarterback instead of maybe bringing in a veteran quarterback from another team,
Yeah.
I think that could depend on whether they do. I could also see Seattle playing the game of, all right, we want Russ to stay here, and the only way Russ is going to stay is if you're gone. So do you want to resign or do you want to be fired? Because we need to move in another direction, and we feel that we can do that better with a quarterback in place rather than cleaning house and getting rid of the quarterback and starting over from scratch.
Arthur Smith.
He's in year 1. I think he's going to get some more
I thought
time
he was in year
Atlanta.
2. Oh no, he was the offensive coordinator. Okay, so yeah,
Tennessee. He's not going to go anywhere.
maybe.
I think Matt Rule returns only because of that contract that he has.
Yeah.
Even though there's whispers that the owner is kind of ashamed for giving him that type of deal.
Yeah.
Does Jim Harbaugh come back to the NFL?
I will say if and only if to Chicago.
Okay.
I don't see anywhere else. People are saying Detroit as a potential, or as Denver as a potential.
I've almost seen. I've heard the Raiders as a potential landing spot for Harbaugh.
Harbaugh is now in the position where he only has to go because he wants to go. He beat Ohio State this year. He won the Big Ten. Fans are in love with him again. He only has to go if he wants to go. That's number one. Number two is, and this is the reason why I say if and only if Chicago. Why did he go to Blue? To the Blue and Maize? Because it's his alma mater.
Yeah.
He apparently is trying to do I want to go back home tour. Well, what's the next spot after Michigan?
Either probably Chicago. You could probably say that Indianapolis is home, but not as much of his career was spent as a Colt as it was a Bear.
Yeah. So, and Indianapolis isn't firing their head coach anytime soon.
No, probably not.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be Chicago. If he goes. Now, speaking of which, who do you want in Chicago?
I really don't know at this point. They're saying that they're not necessarily looking for an offensive guy or a defensive guy. They want a leader of men. So they're looking more at leadership than having a defensive background or an offensive background.
Okay.
But I think no matter who they hire, they've got to have an idea of how best to use Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So for me, I still keep coming back to Greg Roman of Baltimore.
You sold me on that pitch.
What he's been able to do with Lamar Jackson, and when Lamar Jackson got injured and got between COVID and injuries, being able to insert Tyler Huntley in there, and that Baltimore offense is still going, why not bring him in as the head coach? So I hope that he at least gets an interview.
I 100% agree. The only other one that I keep hearing about is Ryan Day, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah, I think so too. The other name that I think I would, from a Bears perspective, because it kind of makes sense based on who's in charge of Ted Phillips, would be Pat Fitzgerald. Trying to get Pat Fitzgerald to come down from Northwestern to take over the Bears.
Yeah. So with
but I don't
all
really
of
know
that,
much about him as a coach, though.
We really don't have much time left. We are past our hour mark. We're at an hour and 10 now. Do you want to do John Madden or do you want to do him next week?
We can save it till next week.
Okay. Yeah, we have a couple. Give us let's end on a good story.
Okay.
You know what happened with the Iowa Cubs former owner. Now, give me that story.
Yeah. So what he did is he sold the former owner of the Iowa Cubs sold sold the franchise to an ownership group that owns multiple minor league baseball teams. And what he did is, I got to get it open to get the actual dollar amount, is he gave each employee of the team, whether they had worked for them for one season or multiple seasons, and he gave them $2,000 for each year that they worked for his team.
Wow.
It was just a goodwill gesture. Thanks for all the hard work and service that you put into this team.
Wow, and it looks like they have two guys that one played for 20 years and one worked for them for 30 years.
Yeah, life-changing money.
That there is life-changing money.
That's cool.
That's 50. Yeah, that's 50 and or 40 and 50 and $60,000 each. That's pretty cool. So
yeah,
with that good on it, let's head off. Rich, do you have any shout-outs for the week?
I do.
You
so
do?
A happy belated birthday, because we're doing this on the show, to Grandpa Frank, 92 years young.
Wow.
So he supposedly was still on his birthday. According to my dad, still was able to hustle some young kid for $10 at the bowling alley on his birthday.
Look at that. By the way, you just tell him that if he wants to make 100, not let Life magazine ask him how to make it to 100.
Yeah. So he's still young. We're hoping to take him to a ball game this year, because I haven't been to a ball game in a couple of years, let alone one with him. While he still can, but he still goes bowling he still plays in a bowling league at 92 years old, still goes to the neighborhood tavern every day to have a drink and chat with people, as well as go out to the American Legion to sign the book and have a drink with folks. So he's still getting out there. It's astonishing to see what he's able to accomplish and still do at the young age of 92. So happy birthday, Grandpa Frank.
Happy birthday, Grandpa Frank. I want to thank Grandpa Frank. I've never met Grandpa. I met him at your wedding. Wedding. Outside of that, me and Grandpa Frank have no relationship. But I know that he's a lot of the reason why you have the fandom of Cubs baseball that you do. And it's a lot of the reason why you and I are friends. So I would say it's almost because of Grandpa Frank that you and I have the friendship we do, because of him instilling what he has to you all these years. So happy birthday, Grandpa Frank, from us up here in Northwest Iowa as well. With that being said, Rich, what should I do?
Well, first, before you roll the outro, if you're listening to us on the Facebook, watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and comment, and make sure to subscribe to us if you listen to us out in podcast land, so you can know when our newest episodes are posted each week. And thank you for joining us this week. So, Mike, why don't you roll the outro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.